Jason he comes in every morning, he's smiling ear to ear, and that's a good thing. But when you find out the reason why, and all it takes is just a good round of golf, and then all of a sudden you're just a happy camper in the morning.
That's all it takes, man. When you go out there, you get on that tee box, par 3, you throw a dart, 10-footer, you sink it. There's just not a better feeling. It might be better than scoring a touchdown. I don't know, guys.
That's a conversation I think we will have in just a bit. There is a ton of news to get to because that's been the theme of the week. Free agency frenzy, and our insiders have had us covered all week long, and we welcome in one of them right now. And Tom Pelissero is with us. And Tom, I watched the Insiders on NFL Network, and Kyler Murray's name was discussed a whole lot. We finally have a home. A ton of speculation about the Vikings. It's now done. How did this thing come together?
Well, yeah, Kyler Murray and his agent Eric Burkhardt flew into Minnesota on Wednesday night. At that point, the plan was still to talk with some other teams who might need a quarterback in the likes of Sam Darnold. Murray also critically gets a no-tag clause, meaning if this season goes as Murray thinks, he wins the job, he balls out, he gets to hit free agency again in 2027 when, again, if everything goes according to plan, he will be perhaps the top free agent on the market. First things first, though, Murray has to compete with JJ McCarthy, who just 2 years ago was the Vikings' first-round draft pick. It was a roller coaster ride for McCarthy in year 2 after missing his entire first season because of a meniscus injury. But the hope in the building is that the competition is going to bring out the best, not just in Kyler Murray, but JJ McCarthy as well, yeah. Yeah,
Tom, I think it's a really good point. Another bite at the apple in terms of free agency, but you're right. Step one, win the starting job and then go and ball out. Appreciate your insight. I know you have more for us here on Good Morning Football. Meanwhile, the Vikings and Murray, they did not waste any time getting them to the podium and announcing that deal. This is what he told the media on the type of player that Minnesota is going to get.
Yeah, I say contractually it doesn't really make a difference to me. Every year to me is go out there and prove a year. Every time I step between those white lines, I take pride in how I play the game, what I bring to the game, and I want my teammates to know that I'm riding for them regardless of the circumstances, and they can count on me. So contractually, like I said, it doesn't matter to me. I'm gonna give this organization everything I got. Ever since I started playing tackle football, I was 7 years old. Genuine fandom. Ran deep, Vikings gear through and through. A lot of purple in my household. I cried real tears whenever Brandt threw that interception. I cried real tears that day.
All right, sometimes you hear about this, guys, where players like, hey, I've always been a fan of the team, and then you go, really? And then there's actually receipts of this young Kyler Murray rocking a Vikings uniform, state of Texas, where the kid actually grew up. But he wasn't lying. There was some purple in that household. But there has been some instability at that quarterback spot. I mean, look, if Kyler ends up winning this job, we're talking about now a 9th starting quarterback since 2022 for this organization. It has been a revolving door right now. But they do get a veteran presence to go with a younger quarterback. So, Seth, when you think about what Kyler Murray and JJ McCarthy could potentially be on this team, what's the immediate reaction?
I'm really fascinated by this situation. I think, we're looking at a Sam Darnold situation, a little Sam Darnold 2.0, and I'm wondering kind of what JJ McCarthy's mindset is. Here's a guy who's a really high pick. He's quarterback, a serviceable number 2 for a young guy coming in. I mean, that is a huge difference in the trajectory of your career and on your life. And so I think it's a good thing. I think from a team standpoint, I think it's a great thing. Obviously, Kyler saw what KOC did in Minnesota for Sam Darnold. He thought, hey, this is a good fit for me. Been a fan of this franchise for my entire life, as he said there. And he gets to work with KOC, who can do some magic with these quarterbacks, getting a chance to prove himself. But, I mean, JJ McCarthy committed. He's not just going to roll over. He's not just say, okay, Kyler, you're the vet. Come in, take the job, man. So it's a very interesting situation. They play in a really, really difficult division as well in the NFC North. So I'm curious to see where this thing shakes out.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And you highlight some things there that are very true, I think, for both of these quarterbacks. I think this is a big fork in the road for both of these guys in terms of the trajectory of their career and kind of what comes next. You know, if JJ McCarthy loses this quarterback battle, I don't see him having a huge market and teams lining up at the door to get him inside of their building. And then Kyler as well, like you said, whether he becomes a starter, he becomes a journeyman, back able to make his money as a coach and show us that Kyler Murray can play and fit inside of a winning system. So really big move for the Minnesota Vikings.
Sorry, stepped on you there. No matter who showed up here as the quarterback of the Vikings, which this is going to be a competition between Kyler Murray and JJ McCarthy. We'll see. I think Kyler Murray's going to wind up winning it, but we'll see how it plays out. Somebody's got to feed 18. Somebody's got to get him the ball. And I do like the fact that Kyler Murray has shown in the past that he can be that guy and he can get that ball to the #1 wide receiver. I know that there was some talk about Marvin Harrison Jr., whether he was being fully utilized and all that stuff in Arizona, but I saw years ago Kyler Murray to DeAndre Hopkins and the way that he was feeding him. I think it was 160 targets back in 2020. Show me that, okay? I don't want to see Justin Jefferson coming in anywhere under 100 receptions this upcoming season. In fact, I want him well over 100 if possible. And I believe that that's going to be a big part of the plan here. Make sure when you come in, throw it to that guy over there. He's really good, right? Start doing it in the spring, do it in training camp, and then you're going to want to do it in the game, just like you used to feed this guy a couple of years ago.
Yeah, one season in his career, though, guys, where he's had a winning campaign. Obviously, a lot of speculation about what kind of leader he is inside that Arizona locker room. You've been in NFL locker rooms. You tell me, how do you win over a team very quickly in what is essentially a one-year deal?
Yeah, I think for Kyler, it starts with your work ethic. It starts with your professionalism, your approach, the way you enter the building, the way you greet guys.
So it's not just Kyler Murray, but this is a starting quarterback league. That's just what it is. I mean, all the success and all the failure most of the time falls on the shoulders of the starting quarterback. And this was a guy, #1 pick. He had all the expectations in the world. They made an effort to put weapons around him in Arizona. They made an effort to bring in coaches who were friendly to his style of play, and he was still not able to turn these things into wins consistently. And so, again, team game. I'm not going to put all the blame on Kyler Murray, but bottom line is you got to win football games. You got to. And he's not a guy that's shown us that he can do that. And so is JJ McCarthy that guy? I don't know. The Vikings are going to find out. I wonder in 2027 if either of these guys are going to be starting for the Purple. So I'm not sure, man. It's a very interesting situation.
Here's what I'm eager to see. This is a really good coaching staff with the Minnesota Vikings. Really good offensive, really good defensive too, but that doesn't matter. We're talking about the quarterback here. That guy right there starts with him, okay? Then it continues to Wes Phillips, the offensive coordinator, very highly thought of. Frank Smith comes over from the Minnesota Vikings, bringing some of the thoughts that Mike McDaniel had down there that were so successful. He was working alongside him. And then Josh McCown, the offensive pass game coordinator and quarterbacks coach for Minnesota, who I mentioned this previously. McCown interviewed for the Giants offensive coordinator job, didn't get that, but was going to be brought on as an offensive pass game coordinator here in Jersey. And Kevin O'Connell said, no, they can block that move. They couldn't block the OC play calling move, but they could block that. He said, no, you're staying here. And so they've got 4 really good offensive minds that are going to work with Kyler Murray, #1. Also, JJ McCarthy. Like, McCarthy's got to come along. And this is it. Like, this is the moment at which you need to respond to the fact that somebody is coming in and coming for your job. Last year, the Vikings, and I thought this was a mistake, didn't want to bring in more of an experienced guy. They wanted to give JJ McCarthy a clear path to that starting job after Sam Darnold left for Seattle. In theory, great thought, but this kid needs to be pushed. And now he's going to be pushed more than he's ever been pushed, because if he doesn't win this job, sure, he can hang as the backup, but Kyler Murray's got the potential to play well and establish himself, as Tom Pelissero talked about, not just as a free agent for other teams, but the ability to renegotiate a big deal in Minnesota as well. And after letting Sam Darnold out of the building to go to Seattle and then go win the Super Bowl, if that happens again with another guy trying to reset his career, that team's not going to make the same mistake again. So I look forward to our inside training camp coverage here on NFL Network starting in late July. I don't think we finalized the date yet, but we will. And we'll be there in Minnesota, probably a few times, to chronicle what's happening in that quarterback competition, because it's going to be a fascinating one.
Mike, your sentiment is completely accurate. I was actually part of that training camp tour in Minnesota last year, and the chips were in the middle of the table for JJ McCarthy, and there was some speculation. It's like, hey, what's this team actually going to look like? Really good pieces. Clearly, health was a problem here. But the offshoot from a news standpoint, Mike, what does this move with Kyler now getting locked in Minnesota, what does it do for the free agent market? More specifically, I'm thinking about Kirk Cousins.
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins, this is sort of along what we expected from Kirk Cousins.